What's up YouTube, Rocket here, and today we have ourselves yet again another Onslaught build, this time for the Warlock, specifically a Arc Warlock build that we're going to be using here. I've been using this one for quite a while, for quite some time now. After playing with my Titan for so long, I decided, alright, let's try a different class, and I've fallen in love with this Arc Warlock build. It really lets you hold your own with the support of your teammates. This thing can just either be offensive or even defensive. I mean, I know Onslaught is a very defensive game mode, but if you really wanted to speed things up too, with clearing ads really quick, clearing the spawns really quick, this thing can do work. The only thing I'll say the first con, or the only con really, with this build is obviously this build, as you can see, is going to use the Vesper of Radius. And to quickly go over what the Vesper Radius is, Planetary Torrent is the name of the perk. Rifts periodically release arc shockwaves. Final blows with these shockwaves create an arc explosion. While an arc subclass is equipped, the shockwaves and subsequent explosions blind nearby targets. This is the best part about this thing and the greatest thing about it. Rift energy recharges faster when you're surrounded by targets, which is also fantastic. So I'll be showing gameplay here like I did with the Titan build. We're going to go over everything while gameplay goes on in the background to just let you know how it really works and how it really looks like when you're going to be using it. But again, there is a con with this. Obviously, with it being rift oriented, you need to be using your rift, and obviously enemies need to be pretty subpar close to your rift to be able to take damage from these frequent shockwaves and also be blinded. With that, obviously there are enemies that spawn in that are exploding shanks for the fallen, or even cursed thralls coming in with ogres, and that's probably the only little part that you just want to probably not really be up in their faces. Obviously the frequent shockwaves could blind the targets. What I like to do sometimes in those type of rounds is just put a shockwave or a rift near where they're kind of spawning, and then kind of just back away. It at least blinds them every frequently from the shockwaves, and obviously shoot them from a distance. That's probably again the only thing that's probably a downside of this whole entire build. Going on to the Arc subclass, we're going to go over these pretty quickly. Obviously we got our regular healing rift. Obviously we want to be healing a bunch of the times, no need for empowering rift. Melee, we want ball lightning because obviously we don't really want to get close to enemies either way, so why not throw a pretty long ranged attack, which obviously, while amplified, an additional lightning strike happens. We're going to be using pulse grenade because, I mean, I don't really know anyone that really uses anything else, to be honest. Whatever, pulse grenades are the way to go and is the way to go for myself. Aspects, though, we're going to be using the electrostatic mind. This one is going to be helping us get a lot of ionic traces, which arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace. We're mostly going to be taking advantage of the blinded aspect because one, of the Vesper radius, and two, is part of our fragments, which we will get to soon. Obviously, if you have a jolted weapon, or maybe you switch up the fragments to add jolt to your grenades, then that's obviously going to be helping you very much. Next is going to be Arc Soul. Obviously, we're using rifts a lot. Let's make Arc Souls, give our teammates Arc Souls. You know how Arc Souls work. They're great, they're fantastic. So very frequent Arc Souls as another extra way of shooting enemies. Big W, we always want that. Moving on to the fragments though, we're going to be using Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. Obviously, once again, you're going to be kind of close to enemies. Enemies are going to be coming to you, so obviously having even more damage resistance on top of 100 resilience, huge resistance. So that's what we want. Next is going to be Spark of Discharge, which arc weapon final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. So obviously we have another chance of getting in an ionic trace on top of the electrostatic mind. Ionic traces, as you can see, when picked up, ionic traces grant ability energy. If we can keep our abilities kind of rolling at a good frequent pace, it's very fun and very perfect. Next is going to be Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you are amplified creates an orb of power. This is great because one, you're most likely going to be amplified for majority of your rounds. From the start of the round to the end of the round, you are going to probably be amplified, so making orbs for yourself and making tons of orbs for your teammates obviously is a huge support type of deal. Next, we're going to be using Spark of Beacons. While you are amplified, your arc special weapon final blows create blinding explosions. That is the one other thing that really helps with the electrostatic mind, again using the blinding. Moving on to the weapon, actually we'll kind of do this a little differently, which we're going to start with the special weapon, which is going to be the Indebted Kindness. Let me know if I said that right. This thing has been a forefront of arc builds honestly for quite some time now with Onslaught. This thing should be an exotic on its own. This thing feels very powerful, at least with the combination of the fragment when defeating targets, blind enemies. Mine has Lead from Gold, which is just amazing. Picking up heavy and then getting special ammo for it, it's so good. It's very great. And Adagio, after defeating a target, this weapon fires slowly and deals increased damage for a brief moment. This increased damage is 30%. I know there's probably some different roles. I have myself here a beacon rounds and volt shot, so you could take advantage of volt shot with it. Going for a primary, I'm just using Outbreak Perfected. For one, pulse rifles do have overload rounds. We obviously are getting the Outbreak Perfected 0-hour mission very soon, so I'll probably gonna get the crafted version and use the rapid hit or rewind rounds, whatever, perk on this thing. Make it even better. It'll be great. This thing honestly is very fun. I'm loving it. I like using it against orange bars when I can. Just red bars, spreading out the Siva nanites. It's very good. Trust me, I would definitely, if you're going to be doing this build, if there's nothing else you really want to choose as an exotic, just throw this on. Trust me, it really helps. And lastly, we're just using the hothead, at least this week specifically, when making this video. Rocket launchers are overcharged. My heavy usually ends up just being whatever overcharge is active, so that's mainly why I am using this. One thing in the artifact though, for the indebted kindness, if you use this Origin perk specialization 1, improves the benefit provided by sundering, which sundering is a part of undeaded kindness. So I mean, sundering itself isn't very crazy or anything. It doesn't really do too much, but the benefit you get from using the Origin perk specialization 1 is at the very bottom, the text at the very bottom. Additionally, weapons with these traits are always overcharged. Meaning this weapon on top of the Adagio, let's see, I can't do the math. I'm not good at math. I failed math, guys. 55 damage, or no, 50. It does 50% extra damage. What else could you take? What else do I have to say to make you get this weapon and start using it? You're blinding everything, man. Trust me, you're blinding everything. Moving on to armor though, we're gonna use this little thing over here. We got ourselves obviously some heavy ammo scout and heavy ammo finder. Obviously we want to find heavy ammo because of our one, it's always great to find heavy ammo, and two, we want ammo to be able to pick up to get more ammo for our special weapon. And obviously we're using a harmonic siphon of arc. Obviously we're mostly using that arc weapon, creating a lot of orbs, even more orbs, and it's great. For gauntlets, we're just using firepower. I like firepower, even though it's a 10-second delay. I still really like to use it. And we're using 2 bolstering detonations to grant class ability energy when we damage targets with our grenade, because obviously our whole entire thing revolves around a rift. So anything that can help our rift is great, is always great. Secondly, as our Titan build video and probably future videos, so I don't have to keep saying this, we're going to be using 1 reserve mod and then 2 resistant mods. Innervation to reduce grenade cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power, and as well as installation reduces class ability cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power. And lastly, for our class item, we are going to be using 2 bombers to decrease our grenade cooldown, and a distribution to decrease all of our cooldowns when using our class ability near a bunch of targets. But once again, obviously this build is just very enjoyable. I've been very much loving this. Obviously, yes, this has gotten me to wave 50. I've been able to complete a whole Legend Onslaught with this build, and it's great. And this build is just very, very fun. I definitely really recommend it if you're a warlock just trying to play with something different. Maybe if you've been using solar a lot, or maybe even void a lot, and you kind of want to try a arc build. Definitely try to go and do this one. With our artifact perks, obviously we get overload pulse rifles, so you can take care of overloads. We have piercing sidearms, and obviously this is a sidearm. And also we have overload rocket launchers that you can choose from the artifact perk. And you're probably thinking, what about unstop? Well, obviously unstops, arc blind effects, stun unstops. And with Vesper radius, if you activate your rift right in front of or next to a unstoppable ogre or anything unstop, as soon as you cast it, it'll send the arc shockwave. Once it touches the unstoppable ogre, it will get stunned. Easy kill. You got all 3 of the champion mods basically on this kit. And maybe you decide to use Jolt Shot or the artifact perk where your grenades jolt targets. You can also have that as a way to obviously stun overload. I had my last video when I did show off my Titan. I did get a few comments on my TikTok specifically about my character's appearance and what I was wearing, just in case if you wanted to do something similar. Obviously, for Super Blacks, Super Black just looks great with Imperial Opulence on the class item. Armor ornaments, we're using Street Scholar cover for the helmet. I totally botched that. Painted Kitsune gloves, Obviously the just normal Vesper radius, hardened basilic pants for the legs, and the street scholar bond. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy, definitely drop a like, and if you did end up trying out this build, definitely let me know in the comments, and especially hit that like button if this build helped you get to round 50. I obviously don't really want to make these build videos if the build itself isn't enjoyable, helpful, fun. Then I'm probably not going to really use it, or I'm going to improve on it. But definitely subscribe for more Destiny 2 builds and content that you would like to see. Obviously, with having a warlock be this video, we're going to hopefully take on a hunter build in the next build video, so I'll definitely be looking into that. But other than that, I'll catch you guys in that next video. Peace.